Good Friday morning, guys. My name is Jerry Miller. Welcome to Real Talk. This is an insider's guide to real estate, life, and the pursuit of happiness, presented by Keith and Yonna Smith of the Yes Team Realtors. Phenomenal program lined up for you. The distinguished gentleman, it's a bummer for me, not in person, but the gentleman, Keith Smith, at the beach now. Judah Wickhauer is our director. Why don't we welcome the distinguished gentleman to the program? And Keith, good morning on location. I think we can safely say, my friend, that we are social distancing right now, Keith Smith.
We are a little bit more than 6 feet away from one another.
Where are you, my friend?
Yeah. So first of all, it's also a bummer not to be there. I even, there was some contemplation of not going away just to make sure that we could be sitting across the table from you. But Yonna said,
yeah, I was going to say. Yeah,
so that was it. You know, we got grandson here, we got son-in-law and daughter here, and so the answer was no.
That was the right decision. That was the right decision.
I tried, though. You know, I tried. I gave it the old Marine Corps effort. No, we're in Cape Charles on the eastern shore. For those who are not familiar with it, it's at the tip of the Delmarva Peninsula, across from the Chesapeake Bridge and Tunnel. Yonna and I have been coming down here since 1987. We actually owned a bunch of property at time, but I love to fish, and I grew up, in Brooklyn and Long Island, where we used to fish on the bay all the time. So we go out fishing, and I can formally report up until this morning, Yonna is high hook. She's got me beat big time. And my excuse is somebody's got to captain the boat, right? So that's what I was doing. But, man, I tell you what, she's got me beat big time. So I got a feeling I got some catching up to do between now and Sunday.
You seem so happy, man. The family's together under one roof, and you're at a special place of beach.
It's nice. Yeah, it's great. It's great to have our grandson with us, and we found out actually just the other day the kids shared with us our oldest daughter is expecting our second grandson, and it's going to be a girl. So we're excited. We're going to have a little boy and a little girl, and this is going to be good stuff.
Well,
doesn't get any better than that.
I'll tell you what, like you know, this is one of my favorite days of the week. We'll talk some shop. You have a phenomenal video for us. How about a snapshot first?
Yeah, so we're going to try something a little different today, other than, I guess, being remote. There's a little video about home sales and the surge this summer. We've been talking about this on the show actually since March. And we called it. We were going to have a deep V, a sharp V, which is what happened. So it's just some basic NAR stats. We're up 21% in June, and the national average sale price is jumping from 285 to 295, and that this is 100 straight months of year-over-year gain. So we'll talk about it on the back end on why I think this is happening.
All right, Judah Wickhauer is our fabulous director. You have that video ready to go, sir? Why don't we play that video in 3, 2, 1. Back, Keith. Great way to start the program. Great way to start a Friday edition. What you like about that video, Keith Smith?
Well, first of all, I'm just proud that I can actually do these things. It's almost 60-year-old millennial. I get into this stuff, and it's actually pretty cool to put together. Before we get into this, I'm very curious how our chemistry is going to do today, because our chemistry is such on fire, but it's so much this. I get to watch your body language, you get to watch my body language, and we're kind of interpreting things as we're going around. So I'm just really curious how that's actually going to work here, but we'll give it a shot. So and Judah. Judah can hear
Yeah,
me,
Judah
correct?
can hear you.
Obviously,
Yep.
right? Yeah. So, so we want to talk about why, right? Why is this happening? And we've been kind of alluding to this and dancing around these subjects by bringing in some experts like Quentin, and Michael Guthrie's coming in next week to talk about that from that end of it. But basically, what I wanted to do is, if you can pop up slide 1, is it basically comes down to 3 things, and we've been talking about this for a couple of days. So obviously I can't see, so if you could just let me know when that
I'm waiting
slide
for his
is up.
thumbs up. He's always supposed to do it. He's
Got
got
it.
the thumbs up now.
Cool. And so obviously the first big 10-ton elephant in the room is we're going to be below 3% interest rate, right? And everything that I'm reading from Lawrence Yun, who's the NAR chief economist, and everybody all the way up, CNBC, everybody's saying that this is going to migrate into 2021. And a little bit later in the show, we're going to do what your favorite thing is, some crystal ball stuff, right? So we'll see how it goes. We got a slide on it. But I think, like I said, we called this early on and all I was doing was, it's not that my foresight's better than anybody else. I was just reading all the data. Everybody who had a lot of initials after their first and last name were saying that I just plagiarized the hell out of it.
So you're a smart man.
No, I don't know about that, but thank you for saying that. I do miss my Marie Beck coffee, though. This is not cutting it at all, but we'll have to get back into it. So the interest rates are low. So why that's so important is what they call this affordability index, right? And we talked about this before. Not affordable housing, that's a whole different subject that we're going to talk about later, but the affordability index, and that is, how much house can I pay per month, right? So, if I'm going to spend X dollars a month, how much house can I buy for that? And the lower the interest rate goes, the more house you can buy, which is kind of important as we talk about a little bit later when we start looking into different jurisdictions and the different counties, and that some of the prices are going up. So if your interest rate goes down and the prices are going up, at least within some sliding scale, you're okay, right? It's when the interest rates shoot up and the housing prices shoot up, that's when affordability index kind of drops. But at the moment, it's looking pretty super attractive to do that. So the second thing is, this isn't 2008, right? So we talk about this all the time. So I'm going to quiz you back a little
Please.
bit. So why is this not like 2008?
And
let's try that.
Okay, and I'm going to do it in verbatim as I've learned from the distinguished gentleman. In 2008, this cup of coffee could have gotten a loan. In 2008, this cup of coffee would have gotten a loan. Now,
Jerry, even you could have got a loan.
Now, the real estate agents and the realtors and the real estate market, they did not cause what happened in March through this point in 2020. It's a pandemic. No one caused this. It's unforeseen circumstances that no one caused.
So technically, like 2007 and 8 is when this snowball started. So the cup of coffee could have been bought in 2004, 5, and where literally you didn't even need to have a pulse to get it. But there was a lot of reasons why. So the system itself, in my opinion, was fractured. Right, and again, I'm going to play a little bit of quiz back and forth on this. I think that'll be fun. It. So, what was one of the major systems that were broke up to this implosion in 2008?
The loan industry. They were not doing due diligence. They were giving money to people who should not have gotten the money, and everyone was anticipating their home values going up. So when they were doing these adjustable rate mortgages, where in 5-7 years they would adjust to a very higher monthly payment, folks were just saying, I'm going to refinance
Yeah.
before the adjustable rate mortgage comes into play. And eventually, the house of cards collapsed, distinguished gentlemen.
Yeah, so you're 100% right. So what happened was to the run up to 2008, appraisals, appreciation was in double digits, right? Historically, it's around 3, 4, 5, 6%, and that's where we've been for the last 10 years. So homes have been appreciating at a nice even pace, not this run up to go ahead and do that. And the other real factor why we're having this surge is lack of inventory. There's a limited supply, but that's not necessarily in the resale. And we talked about this on the show a couple of times. The new construction are running about 3.3 million units short, because since 2008 it went from roughly 2 million units they overbuilt down to like 400,000 or 500,000, and has been building up in the last 10 years. So we're somewhere around 1.2-ish million units building a year. So we've had this pent up demand, lack of inventory, lack of new products coming on the market, super low interest rates. And what I think is the most important thing is the regulators and the governments have really stepped in 2008 and basically kept this regulatory process in place, so we can't go out, the collective we can't go out and use your homes as piggy banks and flip them every 6 months or 12 months and put a couple of $100,000 or whatever amount of money was in your pocket. So none of those systematic problems, that at least I can see, are done. It is now difficult. It is increasingly more difficult to get a loan, which I think is a good thing, right? Because as demand is increasing, right, this I got to buy now thing needs to be tampered down a little bit, right? Interest rates are low, and we're not appreciating. We're not buying a house today and 6 months selling it for 10, 15, 20% markup. Does that make any sense?
That makes perfect sense. Perfect sense.
So is that me crackling or you crackling?
Well, you sound loud and clear. Judah's giving us the thumbs up. You're perfect.
So what do you think about what I just said? I know you and I we're kind of bounce back and forth stuff, and I mean, do you see this the same way?
I do. And interestingly, I've been taking your approach on the show that I do about now's the time to buy more than ever. And like you, I learned from you. You outlined why a neighborhood like Lake Monticello is premium for somebody that's looking to get a first-time home. You have loan vehicles, which you outlined very thoroughly on this program, for first-time home buyers that apply specifically to a neighborhood like Lake Monticello.
You're referring to USDA.
USDA, where someone, Keith, can lower their monthly payment from renting to home ownership. It's amazing. Neil Williamson, a gentleman we have a lot of respect for, he came on another show on our network, the Virginia Wedding and Event Showcase, yesterday, and he brought this up. And it was something that I'm supposed to pass along to you.
Good.
Neil of the Free Enterprise Forum believes, because of the budget shortfall we're facing, he believes that we'll see an uptick in taxes and assessments in the county, probably the city as well. So curious of your thoughts, if you think that's going to be a reality as well, and then some other follow-ups from him for you as well.
Well, first of all, I'm sorry I couldn't catch that show. I really, really wanted to see it, but I was on the bay fishing and getting outfished by my wife. But anyway, so look, Neil's always spot on. What I think is going to happen here is it's going to have to happen. I think every single one of the jurisdictions, which within our area is Charlottesville, Albemarle, Fluvanna, Greene, maybe not so much Greene, but I think you're going to see it with Greene and definitely going to see it in Louisa. What's going to happen, and the reason I left Nelson County out, that's going to be a different conversation. So what's going to happen? How do these jurisdictions, for the most part, make their revenue? Commercial is supposed to be 30% of revenue. Very rarely it gets that high. So basically, it falls on real property, right? Your property taxes and personal property, but not so much on that. And look, if they're short, they're just going to, what they'll do is they'll raise the tax rate and raise the assessed value, or the assessed value will be here, and they'll have to adjust the tax rate per 100 to get to where their budget's going to be zero. It's just going to happen. Nelson County's a little different, and we've talked about this. That team over there is actually sitting pretty good. I think they got a bit of a war chest stacked up, so that may or may not happen out there. I mean, Jesse would be a great person to ask that directly on it, but definitely, Albemarle, it's just going to have to happen. Their expenses aren't. It's not like jurisdictions and counties are not like your business or my business, where we can figure out a way to raise more revenue or pivot real quickly. They can't pivot. It's like moving an aircraft carrier, right? It takes time. So I suspect you'll probably see between a 12 to 24 month cycle, assuming, God forbid, we don't see this happening again in the spring of next year. But you're going to see that turn a little bit on.
How do you see that impacting things?
Yeah, so it's going to probably impact sales a little bit, right? Because now your monthly nut's going to be a little bit higher. It just really depends on how much they're going to increase, how much they have to increase, right? And all that's yet to be determined. So, again, as long as interest rates stay low, homes don't appreciate, much above the norm, which is just 4 to 6%. If homes start appreciating double digits, and then taxes go on top of that, and interest rates climb up, that could slow the housing market substantially. But there's so much pent-up demand out there that it's going to take a little bit of time to go ahead and adjust that. But it could impact it. We could be having a conversation, spring, going, oh my God, interest rates are climbing, and so again, now's the right time to sell. You can't get any better time to sell or buy. Folks can sell and move into something with this interest rates helping it out. But yeah, I thank you for bringing that up. That wasn't on our pre-production meeting, but thank you for hitting me with that.
We got a topic that we need to cover closely. What we saw in the second quarter, as far as a GDP drop.
Sure.
I think we have a slide for this.
We do.
And interestingly, June, which also was in the second quarter, June was in fuego. I mean, absolutely in fuego for homes, Keith Smith.
So we don't have a slide for that, but we can talk about it a little bit. I think the slide we're referring to is what I project for 2020. But yeah, so it was 33% GDP drop in the second quarter. But everybody predicted that, and if you read all the experts on this, they're already projecting that in the third quarter we're going to actually be the opposite.
Right.
We're going to end up with a 30% growth.
It's almost old news now, isn't it, distinguished gentlemen? Because we all knew that this happened in the second quarter.
Old news, maybe I wouldn't say it that way. What I will say is COVID-19 and the impact on the economy and the impact on everything has moved so fast.
There you go.
We started this in March, right? We were looking in March at the sales data, and normally what I would do is I would look what happened in the previous year, but we couldn't, right? We couldn't in April, and we couldn't in May compare April of 19 with that, because everything just changed. And the old data just didn't work. Normally you could track it and kind of watch a nice even flow, but it just went low, right? The sales dropped off, but they recovered awfully quickly. So in June, we nationwide was a 21% jump.
That's amazing.
In sales.
Amazing.
So we had these two conflicting data, right? Second quarter dove 33%, and in June on housing sales it went up on it. I almost want to bet another bottle of bourbon with you, but I won't, because I'm not that smart. But the reality of it is, I think you will see a third quarter jump, probably in the 25 to 30% range, almost wiping out the 33%.
How was your June and July for the Yes Team Realtors?
You know, I, you know, I'm uncomfortable with bragging, you know, but we had our best June and July on record.
Your best
We
June and July in the history of the Yes Team Realtors?
since not yeah increase in volume, increase in sales. Yeah, we we did, and interestingly,
I would give you a
I
flying chest bump right now if you were in here.
yeah
Congratulations, my friend.
well, look, this is not just Yona and I. This is everything. This is the economy going in the right direction. We have some great team members that help us get this way, to include you and Judah and, Vince and Roy Wheeler and all the folks that help us get to where we are. Timing is everything. We were very fortunate to start building what we're doing up a couple of years ago. Nobody predicted COVID, but I kind of saw the market might be changing a little bit. I didn't really think it was going to change this drastically on the positive side. But yeah, so that's two big jumps. You mentioned earlier, Neil had two things for me. You only said one.
Yeah, well, the first was the increase in assessments and taxes, and he was curious because he's more of a policy guy of what you thought was going to be the cause and effect of that. So
Yeah.
he's saying, look, this is what I see is happening, but he's not in the real estate business.
Sure.
So he wanted me to pass along to you what is the cause and effect of this if it happens.
Yeah. So the cause and effect will be how much, right? So if it's incremental, if it's not a huge dollar amount, it probably will have very little impact on it. Now, if it has to be some huge amount, like doubling your taxes, which I don't anticipate that happening, but if it's a 5, 10%, 15% increase, on a 2,000 to 3,000, depending on the house, taxes per year, it's manageable. It's manageable. If it starts going a little higher than that, it could have a larger impact. It could also have a larger impact on homes that are closing now, right? Because that may be a great topic to talk about, particularly folks that are first-time home buyers that may be watching right now. There's two numbers that fluctuate, right, a year,
Yeah.
right? So one is going to be your taxes,
Right.
right? So that will fluctuate. Seems to never go down, but it would go up. So in other words, if you're starting at a $1,200 a month mortgage payment, which is your PITI, principal, interest, taxes, and insurance, your principal and interest, if you're on a 30-year mortgage, is going to be fixed. Your taxes and your insurance could fluctuate year over year, right? So what could happen is that $1,200 a month could be $1,250 or $1,225 or whatever it is because the tax has gone up. I think that is what Neil was alluding to in the question. How much? So that could impact existing folks, right? Depending on how much, and it also could impact new purchases. Does that make sense?
That makes perfect sense. How about an increase in assessment? An assessment, one barometer of a value of a home. It's not the only barometer, but it is a barometer of the value of a home. If we see increased assessments, will we see increased home prices?
No, I don't think so. The tax assessments never, in my opinion, is never a good indicator of the market. What's a good indicator of the market is you call somebody like ourselves or
Comparables. Yeah.
you get a real estate agent and have that real estate agent assess the market. And then, of course, an appraisal, which is different than an assessment. An appraisal actually tells you what the market thing. So, in a perfect world, you want to buy here and have your tax assessed there because you're paying less taxes.
Sure.
Right. So we try to steer people away from using tax assessments for valuation. Where the exception to that is in the space that you're in, which is commercial.
Right.
Those tend to track pretty closely.
Yeah. Mine trade, the commercials that I've done have all traded within 5 percentage points, within 5% of assessments.
And that's typical. But in residential, it's not necessarily the case. And again, an item that we might want to talk a little bit about, if not today, a different show, and you made me think of it because Yonna and I needed to go through this. So you can actually contest it.
Right. And I've had success
Right.
with that.
So have we.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very few people do it. Very few people just did. So what happened in our case, they added almost $200,000 of tax assessed value to our house, which then, since we are in the business, we know what our market value is, which turned out to be $200,000 above the market value of our house. And we went, time out. You go through a formal process. You have to make an application. You have to go in front of a board, right? And it's called a Neil will chime in. I probably am not going to get it right. I think it's called the Tax Equalization Board or something like this. Each jurisdiction is a little bit differently. But we went in there with all our statistical data and said, your assessor got this wrong. And so what happens with these assessments? They're all desktops,
Right.
for the most part, right? And sometimes they go out and check, but for the most part, it's desktop. They don't actually take a look at the home. They don't go in the home. They don't do what we do, right? And figure, okay, hey, you just put a brand new heat pump system in your house that is worth 15 grand. You just renovated your kitchen.
Yeah, you got new hardwood floors and a fence.
Whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whatever. So they don't take into consideration. That's the reason why it's not a good barometer, particularly in what I call retail versus commercial.
Absolutely, guys. Let's give a moment and thank Charlottesville Settlement Company and Bill Tucker, Keith Smith.
Yeah, I love the heck out of those guys. We've been down this weekend working on a couple of closings as we're on vacation, and came across a couple of hiccups. And God love Bill. He called me right back, and Katie West. They're just charms to work with, and never a problem. Yes, we'll get it done.
Andre Xavier says congratulations on such a good performance for your business.
Thank you. Let me give him a shout out. Hopefully this is a public record.
Yeah, he announced it yesterday on the show.
Okay, great. So he's doing Matterport, which is freaking awesome. We do a bunch of it ourselves. We actually own our own equipment to do it internally. But if anybody's out there looking to do it, it is a great tool. If you haven't seen it, it's we talk about this all the time. The first several viewings now, it used to be one, now it's like 3, is according to National Association of Realtors, are done online, and you can walk through it. So a little bit of shameless plug for him. Give them a call. They've done a really good, high quality job. I've seen some of his work, and Xavier, I'd take 10%.
Andre Xavier, the VIG is 10%. Kick it to the distinguished gentleman.
No, I'm only teasing.
I know you are.
I'm only teasing.
Well, where do you think the market's going, Keith? Crystal ball time.
Well, there you go. Slide number 3, Judah, if you don't mind. So, we talk. This is something that has changed quite a bit from National Association of Realtors and Virginia Realtors, right? They used to stay away from predicting stuff, from forecasting stuff, and I'm so glad to see that they're Xavier just sent me a text. They're starting to do that. So and we kind of talked about it, right? So I think you're going to see 2021 marching along. I think you're going to see, and these are folks that are much smarter than I am. We're going to see below 3%. If you take a look at just the historical rates, going back, 1970 was 8.8%, 80 was 12%. When Yonna and I bought in 88, it was 18%. Wow. 90 it was 8%, 2000 was 6%, and 2010 it was 4%. So we're like nowhere near the historical average of roughly around 6%. So we've got a lot of delta to give up. Now, again, we talked about this earlier. The more the percentage goes up, the less kind of a house you can buy. And I'll just say this: my biggest fear right now, particularly with the millennial buyer, is they think this is normal.
Right.
And 3% is not normal. And any opportunity, and we're taking it now, any opportunity to tell people this is not normal, right? This is not a normal amount.
Keith, I'm literally telling my closest friends exactly what you have been teaching. I'm literally telling my closest friends like every 2 days this. And then, of course, after every 2 days, every time I say it, I got, oh, by the way, make sure it's Keith Smith over there. You know, okay. But I literally have been telling, and I'm shocked by the response. They'd be like, look, if we don't do it now, we can always do it next spring. I'm like, dude, you are taking for granted that we will still have this opportunity 10 or 11 months from now. We may not.
So the answer shouldn't be that. The answer should be, I can't find the right house, right? That's the real answer, right? If these millennial buyers, which we know is 38% of the market, they're the largest buying, we call them profile, but buyers in the market is the millennial. And if they're saying, I'm going to wait, it's not going to go lower.
Right.
B, it's only going up. So, I think what they're really telling you is I can't find what I want. Right. That could be the case. That or my friends need a little kick in the pants, which is what I'm trying to offer. Yeah. So again, it works on both ways, right? So with this low interest rate, it's the right time to sell, right? Because the buyers are out there. The buyers are trying to buy, and we talked about this on the show a couple of times. But price it right, man. Location, price, features, and conditions. If you overprice it, the market's going to know it, and it's going to sit. And then all of a sudden, if it's sitting for 30 to 60 days, then it gets a little hard, right? So you really should hire a trusted advisor. You really should say, okay, this is where the market's at, right? If you can go just a skosh below it, it increases your eyeballs markedly many times over. The more you go up, the less eyeballs are looking at it. And in today's world, what is it? What's that thing called? Is it Tinder?
Swipe right?
Swipe right.
Yeah.
And that's what's happening. Did I get that right?
You got that right. You're not on Tinder, though, are you, Keith Smith?
No.
No Tinder for Keith Smith.
I think I just got myself in
no
trouble.
Tinder,
Again.
No swiping right for Keith Smith. Oh man! So what?
But that's what happens, right? They these, because we're talking to them all the time. Not Tinder, you silly goose. But we talk to these buyers all the time, right? And all of a sudden they go, well, it's priced right, but why has it been on the market for 2 minutes, right? It's been on the market for 3 minutes. Something's wrong with it, right? So price it right. Pricing is so important. If we accomplish anything today, that's something we want to make sure folks get out. If you're going to put it on the market, make sure it's priced right. Make sure it's got the right features, right conditions, and location will kind of answer itself.
I think a neighborhood, Keith, a neighborhood that you're an expert at, the one you live in, Lake Monticello, is such a good barometer or indicator for the millennial market in Charlottesville and Central Virginia. And we follow the metrics in Lake Monticello, which you're an expert at, and I know you're on vacation. And this is probably the hardest question I'm going to be asking you today. And the reason this is difficult is because, you're on vacation, okay? But you follow the numbers regardless. How are the inventory levels at the lake? Because we've covered for the last few weeks on this program, it is minuscule, right? From an inventory standpoint, and what is the largest neighborhood by okay, look, so the man does it. Are the inventory levels improving?
No.
Okay.
Lake Monticello has 22 homes.
2,200, 22 out of 4,300?
Roughly 4,200, a little over 4,200.
Okay, so that is way low inventory.
So if Judah pulls up slide 7,
okay,
just might be a good time to talk a little bit about that. So what I wanted to do is I spent some time this morning.
And that's on screen, Keith. That's on screen.
Thank you, buddy. What I wanted to do is spend a little bit of time this morning kind of looking at all the different jurisdictions, right? So is that nationwide is 22% in June. So what did Lake Monticello look like June 20 versus June 19? So currently right now we got 22 homes active. So if the slide's still up, on the left side is the June 20, on the right side is 19. So currently there was 33 units sold in June 20. Days on market were 19. Median sale price was $235. A year ago there was 38 homes sold. So actually we're down, year over year. Days on market were 32, so June 19 was up by 13 days, and we remained flat, which is super interesting on the sales price. So it kind of goes back to what I've been talking about is that the market is increasing, but not this in what is the word that you use? Inflation?
In fuego, on fire,
And
on
Fuego.
fire.
There you go. There you go. So it's not going crazy, but there's a couple other jurisdictions that I kind of want to talk a little bit about. Like for instance, green, right? So you kind of got ahead of me a little bit on the
Sorry,
slides.
Keith. Sorry, Keith.
It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. I'm only on my second cup of coffee, but let's go back for a second because what we've been predicting here in the National Association of Realtors have been trending, right? So what's going on, right? There's this movement, and it seems to be this movement was all of a sudden, right? This movement was only since COVID-19 that folks are moving out of the urban centers, in our case, Charlottesville, out to Fluvanna, Greene, Nelson, out to the rural areas. But that's not really the case. So if Judah can put on slide number 4. So National Association of Realtors does these trends, and this is the 20 numbers, which actually covers most of 19 and the beginning of 20. But if you take a close look at it, where do they want to go, right? And the millennials, which is our 22 to 39, we're grouping them together because there's young and there's older. Over 50% of them are picking suburban, quote unquote, Lake Monticello, right? Or some sort of small town, which is another 25%. So basically 75% of the buyers in this 22 to 39 profile are not buying in urban, they're going out. So this numbers happened long before COVID because these are pre-COVID numbers. And if Judah can go to slide 5, please. And then what are they buying? And we've been talking about this, and I've been promising you these slides, and I just haven't produced. Now
They're on screen.
So, thank you. So, again, 22 to 39, almost 90% of the buyers want detached homes. And that's contradictory to everything that we've been told for the last 12 to 24 months, that they're not, these millennial buyers are staying in the city and they're not buying detached. And that just statistically isn't so. But if you go ahead, and I'm going to jump around a little bit, if you go ahead and look at Greene, because I wanted to look what's going on in Greene County. So if you pull up slide number 8, and if I'm going too fast, please slow me down.
This is perfect. And Judah, and anytime you see this from me, that means it's on screen. So you're on screen now with 8.
Cool. So very interesting. I won't go into much of the detail, but the median sales price month over year, right? June 19 to June 20 was up 48
Good
grand.
night. Dude, I'm looking at this. Dude, I'm learning again from you, Keith. I am learning again. All right, can I ask you a question? Okay,
Sure.
So here's the question. Judah, if you could show us the Lake Monticello slide. I'm asking for slides now, Keith. I'm asking for slides now. Judah, if you could put the...
Hey, did you get... Whoa, time out.
We covered this in the pre-production meeting.
No, we didn't. You lied.
All right, so here's the question I have for you, my friend. You showed Lake Monticello 2019 versus 2020, and the lake slide is on screen now, Keith. You showed us the price at the lake 19 versus 20 was $235 flat. But then then you showed us, Judah, if you could put the Greene slide on, please, sir. You then showed us the Greene County slide where the price in Greene has increased, and the Greene County slide is now on. What do you attribute that to?
That's a great question. I really haven't had an opportunity to digest it too much because I did this pretty quickly this morning. I don't want to throw a reason out there. I just think you're going to find next year that the same month over month, Lake Monticello will be substantially higher. I just think this is lagging
Okay.
numbers, right? I think you're starting to see this resurgence of Lake Monticello, and if I had the opportunity, I could probably dive into my MLS system, and I'll bet you'll see that closer to week over week, you'll end up seeing the price go up. So we'll have that information for Nick on Tuesday when I'm in
Do you
studio.
attribute, and just spitballing with you, I'm just spitballing with you, because a $48,000 increase year over year, month over month in the same year, or 1 year versus the other, is pretty substantial there. Do you attribute it maybe to the momentum behind that Ryan Holmes development in Greene County?
Could be, but these do not include new construction.
Okay.
I purposely pull them out.
Okay.
So as we always do, I purposely pull them out because they tend to skew the numbers. But if you want, in honor of our conversations we've been having on and off air, I threw a Waynesboro slide in here.
Okay.
So slide number 10.
Okay.
That's up 44 grand.
Good night. And that's on screen.
Yeah, so that's up 44 grand. That's a jump from 185 to 209.
Wow.
So on the Greene County, that was a jump from 268 to 316. But in let me see here. Hold on one second here. In Greene, there's quite a few. There's 53 homes on the market in Greene, so the absorption rate's a little bit slower.
Man, the days on the market in Waynesboro is minuscule.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. Waynesboro days on market right now are
13.
Rough. Yeah. So it's a little up since it was in 19 by 7 days, but it's 13 days. Is
13 days is nothing.
Well, but that goes back to my argument on pricing, right? So. What's going to happen. Everything we're looking at here, a smart, educated, particularly millennial buyer is going to know these numbers. They're going to do their homework, right? And if you are overpriced and you are, let's say, in Waynesboro, just because that's a slide in front of me at the moment, and you price it above that particular location, at that particular street, however you want to dive into the micro market of it, and you're on the market for 30 days, they're going to know that, and they're going to see that, and they're going to go, why has this been on the market for double the period? And as professionals, we have to be prepared to answer that question. Yeah. Why is it on the market? So I don't even know, what time is it?
You're killing it, dude.
Oh, really?
11:01. Isn't it gone? It's a testament to you. This has gone flawlessly. 46 minutes in already.
Wow.
This guy is at the beach in Virginia at Cape Charles. I'm in our headquarters on Market Street in the city of Charlottesville, and I feel like we're doing the show. Now, Keith, I need to emphasize this to you. It is not the same for us without you sitting across from the table.
I feel a little, part of me is missing.
But I feel the same. But at the same time, this is going a lot better than I thought it would go. The 60-year-old. How old did you say? You said you were 42?
What'd you just say?
You said you were 42 years old?
Okay. You're lying to me, but I appreciate it.
The 42-year-old put together videos, a slide.
I'm not 42.
I know you're not.
I'm decades above that.
Whatever you did today, you ate your Wheaties or you stayed at a Holiday Inn, because you put a video together, you put the slides together.
I put 2 videos together.
And now we're doing the whole show via Skype and remote. It's going well.
I have to tell you. I mean, the proof will be in the pudding and what's in the feed, which I can't see. So hopefully, people are finding this entertaining.
Unfortunately, I can't see it that well either because I'm on Skype with you.
Oh, got it. So we can't even read any questions off of the feed.
That's the tough part of doing the whole thing via Skype, is because I got to stay on Skype with you.
Oh, see, I learned something today. We got to tap into Judah's brain power, see if he can come up with a solution for that.
I think Judah just rolled his eyes at me and you and said, "Do you idiots know what I do every day for this show?" And the distinguished gentleman wants me to do more. I literally ask him every day to do more. He said, "Jerry, I can't do any more here."
Well, you know the old saying, if you want to get something done, who do you get, right?
Who
you know that saying?
Is it Lives of the Dog?
No, not wiser. If you want to get something done, you seek out a busy person, and the busy person will get it done.
There you go. There you go. You heard that,
You
Judah?
never heard that? You never heard that before?
I haven't heard that. He said, Jerry, don't. Judah just said, Jerry, don't take his advice.
Well, so that this is a dynamic of the show that I was not prepared for, because usually kind of I'm thinking, hey, we can fill out the last whatever time we got today answering some questions off of the feed.
Well, let me see what I can do here. Let me see what I can track here. You got Andre says, thank you so much, Keith. You were such a kind and knowledgeable man. I really appreciate you taking the time to talk with me. Quentin Beckham says, hello, gentlemen. Good morning to you guys.
Clearly, he's talking about somebody else.
People want to know. We're getting this question. You're getting this question from agents. Keith, why do you think that the lake didn't appreciate like green in Waynesboro?
I don't. I think it just might be the way I was looking at it from month to month. It may be something on a systematic kind of side of thing. I'm going to take a lot harder look at that on it. But I was shocked with the number myself, and I just did the number. I didn't dissect it into it. So the agents that are watching, I will have an answer for that on Tuesday when I'm in studio with Mr. Miller there. But it's a great question. I don't have an answer to it. But we'll dig into it and come up with
another thing that's coming up is the move that a lot of folks under the impression that millennial buyer wanted to be close to the bars, close to downtown, close to shopping. Not so much the case, and as you emphasize, this was happening well before COVID. COVID just magnified it a little bit more, Keith.
Yeah, so actually, I don't have the stats, but if you look at the 2019 numbers, they're almost identical, right, as far as that trend. So this has been a 2-year trend or maybe more than that going into it. Look, I just think, frankly, what has happened is COVID just kind of put it in front of everybody's face. But it's been going that way. We've been seeing that, right, with helping buyers, they get to this point in their life that, they want a child, whatever the couple, if the couple wants to have a child or 2 children or whatever, they kind of want to track to this white picket fence, detached home thing, the 2-car garage. And it's been kind of a mainstay for decades upon decades upon decades. I mean, the town that I'm currently in right now, in Cape Charles, was established in the late 1800s. It was a railroad town at the end of this C&O track, and it was like a ferry. So the freight trains would come down, and then it would go across the bay, and then pick up on Norfolk and keep on going. It's a very interesting fact about this, if you can Google it. It's the largest concentration of Sears kit houses in the United States. So Sears back in 1800s, you would actually order on a catalog. Sounds very familiar. Sounds a lot like Amazon. You would order on a catalog a house, and it would come on these trains and kits, and you would just put it together. Pretty interesting story if you get a chance to read about
Quentin Beckham says, it's a good thing you have Yonna Smith, Keith Smith.
Oh, well,
yeah,
he knows better.
We know that, Quentin. Yeah. We know that. Yeah. Michael Guthrie. Michael Guthrie's got a comment for you. Fry Springs and Rugby Hills are wanting smaller detached homes with yards.
Yep.
And he also says, let's see what happens with going back to the phases and what that does to the impact of the recovery of the economy. And as far as a backtrack, your thoughts on that, Keith?
But are we really going back in phases? I was out of town for that. Did that really happen?
It was more of a hybrid as opposed to a straight up like backtrack in a phase. So from going phase 3, we didn't go from phase 3 to 2. We went from 3 to 2.5. Does that make sense?
I lost you there for a second.
Yeah, so what happened was we went from phase 3 to phase 2.5.
Got it.
Yeah. So it wasn't that much of a backtrack.
Yeah, and I think it impacts certain industries for sure. But most of the, like, for instance, I had a conversation with Jason and Marie Bett a month or 2 ago. I mean, they're staying at phase 2. So many restaurants or certain businesses really haven't moved out of the phase 2. And I think I think maybe you and Quentin might have covered that. I didn't watch the show, but first few minutes of it. But I don't. As far as real estate goes, even at phase one, it was pretty short lived. Right, it was maybe a few weeks. And phase two, we just figured out how to adapt and move on. But again, it's these three things, I think: lack of inventory, low interest rate, and this is in 2008. And the systems are in place to do that. Now, it doesn't mean some other variable might hit us and change everything, but we need to stay in front of it, and that's what hopefully we're doing
Mary
here.
Frances Weiland, hello, Keith and Jerry. I
Hey.
love your show.
Hey.
Here's an interesting topic. Are you ready for this one? This
I am.
one's coming from Laura Monk. Jerry, please tell Keith that I love his show. My husband and I watch
Thank you.
routinely. Can you
Oh, thank you. I'm honored.
can you guys consider this as a topic for future shows? You
Sure.
routinely talk about the first-time home buyer and the folks looking to enter into the market with their first home purchase. Maybe could you consider the folks that have purchased a first-time home already and then are looking to climb to their next home or their one after that from a neighborhood standpoint? That's not a bad topic right there.
No, so that is the move up market, and thank her very much so for me, because it's been on my mind to talk about that. And if we hold on a second here, let me find that.
You call it the
slide.
move up market?
Yeah, the move up. They started in I mean, I probably not too much to disclose, but we talked about it already. But our daughter and son-in-law, they're getting ready to have their second child. They may have more. The house that they're in is really comfortable for two. If they have two children, if they have a third child, then in that particular case, they're going to have to find something else to buy, because it's just not going to work for the size of it. But it's interesting, and we don't want to put people in age boxes, but typically the move up buyers right now are in the mid 30s, late 40s, that kind of thing, and we can talk about that. That's a great subject. So thank you very much. So we'll talk about that.
Andre, what's the land situation in Albemarle County? Keith, do you know the best place to buy land? So this is a question from him and his partners, because they're trying to buy land for their CVille hop-on tours in Albemarle, where they can house.
So we're talking commercial, right?
Yeah. I guess.
Well, it's going to have to. It's going to have.
Yeah,
to be,
because
right?
he's going to
Or
do his
you're gonna have to
business.
buy-
Yeah.
Right, or depending on and I'll talk to Xavier offline. That's offline. This is a little bit of a tricky subject, because technically, does he have to store his vehicles?
Yes.
Yeah. So you need a straight up some sort of B1 or commercial, which is unfortunately difficult.
Unfortunately, can I make this comment? Maybe you disagree with this. Maybe the place for land and to store vehicles and to build a garage, I hate to say this, maybe Albemarle County is not the place for it. It might be in one of those counties that's adjacent to Albemarle that's a little bit more receptive to this type of land use.
Well, my vision would be just to go find something that's already zoned, and I think it's a lack of the land available or product available is difficult. I'll without disclosing too much. So what we haven't been talking about is commercial. And since I've been down here, I've done 3 commercial purchase deals.
Nice.
Right. And these were buyers that we've been trying to help for almost 4 years to find something.
Wow. Oh, man, give me a little more juice, baby. Give me a little more juice.
No. If I give it to you, you'll end up stealing it.
Okay. No, I would not do that.
I'm just teasing you. Yeah, no. So it's interesting. So there's, at least in my look, I don't commercial. I do enough to stay busy on it. In it, by no stretch of the imagination, I'm an absolute expert on it. But what I think is seeing on the commercial side, there's certain businesses and certain entities that may decide, hey, I don't want to do this any longer, right? And there's other ones that are looking to up the game. It's just how the market's going. Xavier may be the same prime example. So what we need to do is we need to find something that may be on its way out and replace it. But that's what happened in these three particular cases. That there was some other businesses moving out. We saw an opportunity, and we jumped on it. And hopefully it'll move
New
forward.
comment coming in. This comment. Ooh, this is a good comment. I don't know how we can even handle this comment. This is.
Our time's up.
This
Sorry,
is coming from Erin. She goes, "Would you guys do a segment on vacation properties? Keith's on a vacation property now. Would you consider doing a segment on vacation properties so we can learn?"
Is that Erin Garcia?
What's that? No, not Erin Garcia. Erin Smith.
I got it. Funny. Yonna is at the beach with my grandson, and she didn't know what we were going to talk about today. She says, "Are you going to talk about vacation homes?" Right, because we're like in an area right now where second homes are just exploding in resale. Yeah, that's an interesting topic to have. I just don't know how applicable that is to our area, right? The Charlottesville, Albemarle, Havana, Nelson Green. We don't live in. People come to us where Airbnbs would be really successful, but it's not like a vacation place where we're here. There's a couple literally that own the house next door that was from Charlottesville.
Get out.
And they come down. There's a lot of Charlottesville.
How far is that from Charlottesville?
Pulling the boat takes about 3.5 hours.
How do you care? I've never been there. How would you compare it to Duck or Nag's Head?
Two very different vibes.
How so?
Very eclectic here, very artsy here. It's very, very different. I would put it. You go up to the Hamptons.
Yeah,
right?
well, my in-laws live in Southampton. Yes. Yeah.
Got it.
So I go there twice a year.
Got it. So just imagine the Hamptons before the Hamptons got nutty.
Okay. What does that mean? The Hamptons is
like.
pretty nutty.
Yeah, but okay. Back in the 70s, it wasn't that nutty.
Can I tell you a story of how nutty it is?
I only can imagine because
I went there. This was early in the relationship with my wife, before we even got married, before I popped the question. Okay, so you go there, you meet the in-laws, you meet the brother, and you go up there with your girlfriend at the time, now my wife. And what do you want to do? You want to, you want to impress the distinguished gentlemen of the world, right? You want to make a good. You want the
Sure.
father-in-law to know that his daughter's.
You only get one chance for your first impression.
Exactly. So I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna pick up the tabs here.
Oh,
Okay. So right, seriously, dude. And I had no idea. So we go to a place on the water. I order. It's me, her, parents, and brother. So 5 of us. I order us everyone gets a blood orange frozen margarita.
I know where this is going. You're still paying.
Dude, they were $26 each.
Sure.
It was nutty. So can you walk to, you and I like a cold beverage, can you walk to a watering hole where you're at right now?
2 blocks over is a
Really?
brewery.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so it's really, it's kind of, it's been this sleepy little town that nobody knew about for decades. And Yonna and I, we've owned property here. We've been coming back and forth. I just haven't been here for a year, a little over a year actually. But there's all this. There's breweries here. There's distilleries here. We're huge seafood folks. I can go around the corner and actually go to the oyster farm and pick up a bushel of oysters, a bushel of clams. Yonna feeds us because she catches all the fish. but yeah, so but it's like anything else that turn around. You've got people that we've known for decades here. It's a love-hate relationship, right? There's the folks at Townies that live here 12 months a year, and then there's the come-heres, right? And they bring the dollars, they bring the cash, and it's kind of this love-hate relationship.
Oh, it's so funny that you said that. My wife just chimed in. She says it sounds better than the Hamptons where you're at, Keith, because in the Hamptons right now, you got all the Cityites. They call them the Cityites that come up from New York City to the Hamptons. And they love the Cityites because, let's be honest, the Cityites are driving the economy. But at the same time, 4 months of the year, it makes the roads almost unbearable up there.
Yeah, so I would encourage you and your lovely family to take a break. I'll sit in a chair for you and screw it up. I can do it better than anybody. All right, I'll sit in it. No, you should take some time off, Jerry. You need to recharge your batteries. I'll talk to Mrs. Miller and get you to take a little time off, and I'll. Jude and I will run things for you for a week.
You got somebody that's trying to get you into trouble right now.
Okay. You might have a business when you're done.
This is the question that just came in. Keith, are you doing all the cooking at the beach like you did over Thanksgiving?
No. Our oldest daughter, Yasmina, is here, and she is a freaking awesome cook, along with my son-in-law. He brought his, God love him, he brought his flat top grill from, and we
love
had,
Harry. I love Harry.
Oh, unbelievable! We had Philly steak sandwiches yesterday for dinner. They brought the bread down from Brooklyn. It was awesome. And I was preparing for the show, so I didn't get my hour bike ride in. And at this point, it's almost lunchtime, and I'm going over on time.
At this point, you need a cocktail.
Okay.
Wait, you already have a cocktail, don't you? You do have a cocktail. We still have a video to play, don't we, Keith?
Coffee and coffee and.
Oh, Judah, do you?
You get Mrs. I'm going to do this live in front of everybody. Right. To Mrs. Miller, Yonna and I would love to watch your son. So you and the Robin over here can go out for dinner one evening. We will be our absolute pleasure to watch him. He won't be damaged, but so much.
I thought you were instead offering us your beach house for a week.
It's not my beach house. We rent it.
Okay. All right. I had to try. Dude, we made this work. How did we make this work? I'm so impressed that we made this work, dude.
I was super.
Me too. I thought you were going to be on dial-up internet from where you were at. I was petrified.
Well, hats off to Judah. Judah made me test this yesterday, so hats off to Judah.
How about before we get to your video, Keith, and thoroughly enjoyed spending this time with you, before we get to the video that Judah has, which will lead us into the close, into the outro of the show, how about a final word for everybody, Keith Smith?
Yeah, the standard one. Let's be nice to one another. Let's love on one another. We can get through this together. This whole us and them thing just needs to stop. And that's one of the beautiful things about down here, which was great. We reconnected with people. There's other families. Like the house that we're in has a family. It's a duplex, up and down duplex. And there's a family from Richmond up there with a couple of teenage daughters. We actually had dinner together yesterday. Harry made cheesesteaks for everybody. And, everybody was just respectful distance, by the way. Everybody was kind of keeping this 6-foot distance on it. But we just hey, let's have fun. Let's be alive. So anyway, just enjoy life. And again, it's easy for me.
Yeah, you're at the beach. You're at the beach fishing, Keith. You're at the beach fishing and drinking cocktails. I'm freaking working here. All right, Keith Smith is fabulous.
No, don't do that. Don't push that on me. I'm encouraging you to take a week off.
You are.
And I'm offering my services for free to sit behind that mic.
What I'm hearing is Keith and Yonna are offering us their beach house for free for a week. Is what I'm hearing. Keith, you're an absolute joy, my friend. Please give our well wishes to everybody down there.
Will do.
Thank you. Our pleasure. And Judah, do you have that video ready to go, sir?
Yep.
Keith, hey, you have a good one.
Thank you, guys, and we'll see you in person on Tuesday.
Sounds good.
Thanks for
we'll
doing
see you
this.
Tuesday.
See you later, guys.
Thank
Thanks.
you.
Okay, bye-bye.
Guys, Judah, why don't you play that video if you could, sir? And guys, before we get to the video, Keith and Yonna Smith, the Yes Team Realtors, I mean, salt of the earth people. I've seen it for 2 years now. Okay, as good as it gets from integrity and honesty and character and delivering on their word and helping navigate one of the most difficult processes, which is home buying and selling. I mean, salt of the earth people. Judah, let's get that video to go, please, in 3, and 2, and 1.